Welcome to Bunch Formation, your newest favorite college football show. I am Chris Vannini, and I want to bring back the Pontiac College Football Classics.
I think you got to bring Pontiac back first, Chris. I am David Ubben, and I'm ashamed to admit how high RPO read plays in this game are on the things in life that I love, Chris.
It's our College Football 27 video game review episode. This episode's coming out later than last year just because there was so much change to the game that we really wanted to kind of have a month or so to have played it, to get a real feel for it before forming opinions or reactions. So we have finally done that. We're also going to have principal game designer Ben Haumiller on from EA Sports at the end of the show for an interview. We did ask him about microtransactions, which we will talk about on the show, as well as other changes in the game. You can also read my written review of the game on The Athletic, linking to that in the show notes. Please subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't. We're nearing 900 as we get close to the season, trying to get that number up. But we're going to skip all the other stuff for this episode. We're going right into the game review. And to do that, we go into the game review section.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
I miss that guy. What do you think he's doing today?
I don't know. I have no idea who that was. You could probably look it up and figure it out. But
in my heart, he just walks around his house saying EA Sports. It's in the game. And his wife she's been at an insane asylum years ago when he wouldn't stop saying anything else. But in my head, that's where he is.
All right. It's Canadian voice actor, radio personality Andrew Anthony, who first recorded it in the early 1990s. I don't know.
Condolences to his wife, I guess.
I don't know if he keeps doing it or if they just use that one or he gets royalties. Hopefully he does. Who knows? But all right. So College Football 27 came out early July. We're going to talk about this game, breaking it into a couple of different sections: presentation, gameplay, dynasty, other modes. We're going to start with the presentation, the visual look and feel of it without getting into the gameplay yet. This, to me, has always been the strength of the game from the moment it came back 2 years ago. It looks great. Jerseys look good. Rivalry stuff, every individual stadium. And specific to this year, there's a few things I like. The game looks a little bit crisper. I think interceptions look a lot better for whatever reason. David, I know this because I've thrown a lot of them. But
that perfect timing user pick still hits like crack, I gotta tell you.
Yeah. What do you think of just kind of the look of the game?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it feels like college football. There's some nitpicks and stuff that we'll hit on, but it feels like college football in a bajillion different ways. But at the end of the day, if you can just look at it, and it's like it's as immersive as it needs to be, just from a macro perspective, where like, you know, if you go back and play Tech Mobile, that doesn't feel like the NFL. It feels like a video game. And this, it feels like I am playing a chess match, trying to strategize, but having the tools in my tool belt that a college football team would have in their tool belt.
So one thing they added this year, Heisman ceremony, which is nice to have in Dynasty mode.
Yeah.
It's not a big thing, but it's nice to have it. I do watch it. I do watch it even when I don't have a guy in it because I'm curious, like who wins.
I'm curious how they decide the player outfits, because every player has like a unique suit. And I'm guessing if you're a cover athlete, you probably got some say in what your guy would wear to the Heisman. But if it's like a random player, or like, I mean, I'm sure the future athletes are just like randomly assigned, but I'm curious how they decided. I mean, if is it just all random? Did the cover athletes get some say? I'm very curious, but the outfits I'm always intrigued by at the Heisman ceremony.
Faces still look a little bit weird. Both the players at the Heisman ceremony and in the crowd. This is
coaches.
Something and coaches. This is something I don't really care about, but some people do. It doesn't seem to be much better than the last game. If that's
they're
a reason
like
you
barely outside. They're like at the top 10% of the uncanny valley, where it's like, this looks like a human, but also no human looks like this.
Yeah. I do like some of the weather changes. We haven't had that as much in the games you and I play against each other, but they've added like heavy snow, which is kind of fun. It looks pretty cool the way the footsteps work in the snow and all that stuff. Looks cool. dynamic weather, like it can rain on and off and do different things. Look, again, nice little adjustment there, as opposed to just it's raining every time you play a certain game.
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
that affects strategy and what you want to do. Like it does change the game. And at the end of the day, we joke about it, but like EA, for as long as I've been alive, is if it's in the game, it's in the game, right? They shortened it to just it's in the game, but that's their ethos. And dynamic weather, I think, is a big part of that, and how that folds into the strategy of trying to play a game.
You as a person who famously hated or did not care about dynamic lighting last year, but that is what that is. I've gotten a little bit adjusted to this, but I initially didn't like how small the fonts were within the playbook, and just like seeing the play, because my TV is not gigantic. It's a lot smaller in certain ways, and the opening menu is small, but I can get over that. I think when you're in recruiting, when you're selecting a pitch, the contrast between like the pitch you're highlighting is like you kind of have to like look a little bit closer.
Yeah, I don't. So I don't use that. At the bottom, they have like the check X. I use that more because it is very hard to tell. But when they added the like emblems at the bottom, I find that way more helpful when I'm pitching recruits.
Yeah. And then we can't speak to this ourselves because neither of us are playing on PC, but the modding from the PC community is just incredible. Some of the stuff I've seen people add CBS,
the CBS overlay is the best one. The CBS theme music.
Yeah, and so there's they've done some really cool stuff. We also asked Ben about that in the interview. Other stuff in terms of like equipment, whether it's back pads, but below the shoulder pads, or various things. That's not. I know there's a big equipment community out there. I don't really care about it. I think things are mostly fine, although I know there are some concerns, but whatever. That's
nerds. The biggest thing I think I'm missing in the game overall, when you talk about presentation, is I need more Pat McAfee, honestly. I need him in the menu. I need him in the booth. I need him on the sideline doing the like sideline broadcast as well. Yes. I need to be able to see him in the menu. Why do we not have the Pat McAfee album playing instead of the fight songs?
God. Don't even bring that into the world to mention that. They sort of had College Game Day back in the day. The old games. That's something that still hasn't.
Yeah, it was like a brief thing in the booth. It'd be like Fowler and Herb Street and Corso would do the head. It was.
Yeah.
It's a little bit late to bring that back. I would have liked to have had to bring that back when we still had Corso, but now I joke about Pat McAfee. I don't know that we need McAfee jumping off a high dive like pre-game in the game. I think we're good.
They also Joel Klatt on commentary instead of Kirk Herbstreit. Something I noticed at the beginning and then didn't.
It's
anymore.
Whatever.
Our buddy Sam Kahn turns off commentary and just listens to the game, and he pointed out some really cool things, like when a quarterback makes a check or when a receiver makes a catch on single coverage or something, you can hear what they're saying on the field. Which is actually really cool, and you may not actually get that if you have the commentary on. So I don't know if that's new or not, but Sam pointed that out.
I block it out. I mean, again, I've gotten to the point now in the game where like the skill level, it's not where it needs to be, but like you can sort of cap your skill level in the game, and then it's a strategy thing. I'm to the point where I can do the things that I generally want to do without having to think about them. But then I'm spending all my time as before the play is even over, I'm thinking about what do I want to run next, because you don't have that much time. You've got to hustle. And so that I'm not really thinking about commentary. I'm not really thinking about what they're saying on the field. I'm thinking about like, okay, what is the next play? I need to figure out strategically what I want to do here.
Yeah. And I haven't come through any no, we did have one presentation glitch you and I had where the game just like kind of wasn't going anywhere. It like
I've had that happen a couple times in some friendlies.
Yeah. But after like 30 seconds, it all like speeds up and catches up. It just takes a second. So that's the only kind of presentation visual glitch, I think.
And the onside kick thing, I don't know what's up with that. Maybe that's just in user v user games. Maybe that's just in friendlies. We haven't started our Dynasty yet. You can explain this one if you want.
The onside kick thing, I believe it is, if you make a custom playbook and use that,
which I do,
so do I. Your kickoff, the first option it gives you for a kickoff is onside kick, And so if you're just kind of pushing the buttons to move forward or not paying attention, you may accidentally click onside kick to do that because it doesn't show the regular kickoff. You've had a different problem where you have
But now, yes, it's a problem. When I am trying to receive a kick, there's a bunch of different like kick returns now. And when I try to receive a kick, I know when I'm picking the wrong play or not. And I will choose regular return. It's happened with 3 different regular returns that I've picked. And it goes to onside kick, which leaves you susceptible to squibs. It's like a whole thing. Trying to chase down like a scum kick with your one back is very difficult. It doesn't always work. It can get some weird bounces. Like at the end of the day, like pressing one play and getting another play is a huge problem in the game.
Yeah,
and I don't know why this is happening on kickoffs.
Has that only happened in friendlies, or did it happen in online Road to the CFP?
Never seen it happen in a Dynasty. I haven't played. I've never seen it. Well, you can't take custom playbooks online. So I don't play with my custom playbook online. I've never seen it happen in my Dynasty. It's only happened like our league. We've kind of been playing some friendlies just to be doing it. And I've only had it happen in user v user games.
Okay. So with that, let's move over to gameplay now. And this is a pretty sizable change. Like there's a lot more pre-snap stuff you can do, especially on defense, but it's a lot more stick based. And so if you were using Y or triangle to do stuff with your secondary, it's now mostly sticks and triggers and bumpers. And I'm still like kind of training that muscle memory after several years. So if I go a week without playing the game, I have to remember everything, go into practice mode to do that. So it's a lot different. I think I like it. I haven't done macro adjustments, but how do you like?
So the macros are not that helpful because everything is so situational.
Yeah,
like
that's what I figured.
So okay, let's say you're up 14 with 2 minutes left. You know the guy is going to be throwing. Okay, well maybe I want contain, but maybe I don't want contain. Maybe I want to bring my guys down a little bit, but maybe only if it's like 3rd and 4, maybe I'd want to shade underneath and play hard flats just to make them throw the ball down the field. But like the situations are always changing. So I haven't been reusing the macros because there's not a lot where it's like, I know I want these 3 settings. It's like, well, I do like, if I want specific settings, I want the plays, and then I will tweak how, based on the situation, how aggressive do I want my DBs to be? I like the built-in macros, like the no deep passes, like play short passes. I like that.
I do.
But like using super custom macros, I haven't seen a lot of like use for that because everything is so situational on the game. And if you know how to do the basic things you want to do, if you want to press, if you want to shade down, if you want to shade inside, if you want your guys to play aggressive, you just need to be able to do that quickly. But I have there's not a lot of macros where I'm like, I know I want all of these settings immediately.
No, I like the preset ones, and that's I do use those, so I do like those. It's a lot, but I do like it. I'm still training myself to figure out which way the stick goes for all of that, but I like it. Timing based catching, new feature in this game. I don't like this. Maybe I just didn't put enough time into it, but I didn't see the value of it other than certain on like deep balls. So I eventually just turned it off, but you stuck with it and you seem to like it.
I've gotten pretty good at it. It's not intuitive at all. You really have to practice it. And then, Chris, as a society, what happened to game manuals? Where did the game manuals go?
That's a good point.
I don't even know. I get maybe in theory there's a PDF one that exists out there. I haven't personally seen it. But like until there were YouTube like tutorials for like timing based catching, I was trying to do it, and it's not clear when you have to press it. The reality is that when you press it is very much the same as you would press the stylistic catches on the previous game. So if you're doing safe catch, aggressive catch, rack catch, that's pretty much the only ones you really use. If you're using those, like the timing based catching, you just do it at the same time, but like it's to borrow a phrase, it's timing based. But that's not really like intuitive. So when I was trying to do the tutorials like early on, I was struggling. I figured it out now. I haven't had a red in a while. Now, that doesn't count for when you try to throw a contested ball. Then it makes it almost impossible to like green it. If you got a big receiver on a DB, you can. But, it's just sort of – but when they're open and you have it down. Like I haven't like initially I was dropping balls all over the place because I just couldn't
So-
get used to it. But once you practice it and get it, it's intuitive once you learn it. But until you learn it, it feels impossible.
So I turned it off, like I said, and I have
Mhm.
had a big issue with drops in the game.
Mhm.
Sometimes by me or the computer or whatever. Like sometimes some very, very obvious ones. It does feel worse than the last game. I don't know if that's a way to encourage you to do timing based catching or if it's a result of just timing based catching being in the game.
I don't
But
know. I have my timing based catching. You can set it for only however far down the field you want it. So I have it set at like 20
you can?
yards. Because if I'm throwing a drag,
Okay.
I don't need timing based catching. Like I'm gonna rack catch it and we're
Right.
gonna be off to the races. But it is like down the field, sideline catches. Because there's a ton of times when you're throwing the ball and then I'm taking control of the receiver and like cutting off the route or
Yeah.
like coming underneath it. Like I'm gonna use or catch that a lot. And so like there it comes into play a ton based, again, situationally.
Okay.
All that
I might
stuff.
I might go back into it for that, if any way, to try to fix the drops issues, but I don't know. That one's that.
Mhm.
Passing the ball is just tougher in this game
Mhm.
than it was in previous ones.
Very much so. I mean, I think
what do
the
you think?
biggest thing is when your guys are on the run, like with certain guys last year, like Lenore Sellers jumps out. Few other guys, like you could be running full speed and you're throwing like across your body to a guy running like a backside dig 15 yards downfield and you're flipping it in there and it's like a perfect ball. That is I have not seen that hardly ever on this game. If your feet are not set and the guy's not open, like you can't really like throw it. If you're trying to run full speed, like rolling out with a quarterback, God forbid you're running away, the backside or whatever, where you're like running away from your other hand and trying to throw it like that. That's just a death sentence. But even if you're running and you can throw it like not across your body, it's really, really difficult, which is more realistic. Like I'm good with that. Like I think that was a little too easy on past games. As I've played online a little bit, like I think it's a more offensive game than I thought it was going to be. Like initially it was kind of a slog. I think people are getting used to it. They're kind of figuring out the plays they like, how to kind of strategize. And you're seeing like offenses are a lot tougher to stop when I go online.
I think that's the biggest thing. And again, why it took time for us to put this review together. It takes time to adjust to the new gameplay and what it is. So like some people don't like it. Some people do like it. I think it takes a while to kind of get used to it. Like our buddy Ari Wasserman was not loving all the pre-snap stuff because of how different it was. So it whether or not it's better just kind of depends on your own personal feel of it. But it definitely is an adjustment. So it may take a little bit of time to get used to it. One other thing, they emphasized that the linebacker or quarterback scramble AI was supposed to be better, that guys wouldn't sit in a zone to do nothing. I've not really noticed any difference.
The scrambling is not that much better. The zone stuff is definitely a little bit smarter. Not like genius level. Like certainly if you're playing the computer on Heisman, you'll see guys do things. You're like, whoa, like that was really smart. But the QB scrambling, I feel like it was harder at the start, where like it was almost like having a fast quarterback, which has always been kind of a separator in this game, was almost not even really that important because you couldn't really scramble. But I feel like it's gotten worse, or maybe I've just gotten used to like knowing what guys are going to do or where guys have to be to know how far back they're going to be before they're going to react. But it's not as smart as I feel like I thought it was going to be, or that I thought it was when like the first week I was playing the game.
There was a real problem in CFB 26 with, especially after some later patches, with the AI of like the safeties in the run game and the angles that they were taking. And sometimes the linebackers too were just terrible. It does seem a bit better in this game.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like the thing that they've avoided is like, if you remember on 25, like Jalen Milroe was impossible to defend ever. The scrambling was way too easy. He was hard to tackle. the computer AI, if you weren't personally controlling it, it was hard. But even if you were personally controlling it, you're a linebacker in an open field against Jalen Milroe all the time. It was almost impossible to bring him down. It felt way overpowered in favor of running quarterbacks. Last year, it was a little bit less, but you could still kind of use it as an advantage. Not as much as scrambling, but certainly in the quarterback run game, you could do that. And now I feel like it's a lot more balanced. It could be better. The linebackers could be smarter, but it's definitely better.
Yes. And so overall, I think gameplay is solid. And this was one of our biggest pluses for CFB 26 was that guys couldn't just kind of cheese a play to victory online.
Yes.
That you kind of had to know ball and know what you're doing to be good at it. And our sense so far, tell me if you agree, is that remains the case.
I think they've taken another step in that direction, which I like. Because I want it to be skill and strategy. I don't want it to be, I figured out the game exploit that people can't stop. These people, I'm serious. These people that do this, these are like psychopathic people. Like truly, I don't understand the mindset of people who want to go online and run the same 2 or 3 plays with a couple tweaks based on what they see offensive or see defensively. And like that, I don't know how that's fun for people. And like, I legitimately am concerned with the psychology of the people who like that. It's like, it feels a bit like people who like torture animals or something, where I'm just like, something's off with you that you find this fun. Like, I'm trying to play a skill and strategy game.
Is there anything else on gameplay we wanted to touch on? I'm trying to think if there's any.
No, I mean,
one more. Jump in the snap, which
yeah.
I'm a fan of it. You can take a lineman and you hold down our trigger and then hit a button at the snap. The problem is I am sometimes jumping off sides on accident because I'm hitting our trigger to see my play art again. So that's an issue. David loves getting me to jump offside.
It is very funny. I haven't done the accidental thing that you're talking about, but I have gotten you off. Like, I feel like at least once or twice every single game we've played, I've gotten you. It's when I'm in sure pass spot. Cause like, if I know, like, I'm pretty much always going to play linebacker. Sometimes if I'm playing like a robber coverage, like a cover 1, I'll play the safety and I'll lurk. But like sometimes if I know it's going to be a pass and I have a good advantage, like a good matchup with like an impact player at edge, sometimes I'll play that down line just to make sure that I'm getting through with I'm rushing 4. But you play down lineman a little bit more, and it's very fun to get you off.
I play down. I'm the guy who plays with the lineman because I'm just simply not good enough playing in space with somebody else, and usually I can stop the run better that way. So that's why I go with that. Another thing, kick returns. In the first like week I had the game, I returned like 7 kickoffs for touchdowns and punts, because punts, every computer punter was doing it 60 yards, 70 yards. So you'd have a lot of room to make a big return. After that first week, I didn't return any more kicks until I wrote the review, and the day it ran, you and I played and I returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns in a win, but I haven't done any since. So I don't know if kick returns any different or not. You were usually really good at it. Have you returned?
Yeah, any? They haven't been an impact for me really at all. I don't think I have returned a single kick for a touchdown on this game ever. I haven't played it as much, but I haven't returned any kicks.
You did a lot in the
last year. I could get, I don't know, 2 or 3 a season usually. And, but I am like, I don't know, I've started angling kicking on you when we have played, and that has helped. Like, anything down the angles, you can get a good return if you get a couple good blocks, but I've almost never seen somebody house an angled kick. That when you get house is when you're kicking it in the middle and you get the wedge and you get a nice crease. And once you get to that second level, if you have the whole field to play with, you're not going to catch a guy that's got
so
like
they above. And on the punting part, they did put in a patch to make it a little better, but probably not as good as it can be, because dudes were booting at 65 yards, like with
it's gone from like 70-yard punts, like 55-yard punts, and it's like it's still. On one level, I like it because punt returns are way more fun. Like, you can get stuff going, whereas on the last couple games, it's kind of been irrelevant. Like, nobody really returns punts. You just don't have enough room.
I actually did pretty good at punt return the last game, but whatever. But
so I didn't. But now it's like you can flip a game. Like, I've housed probably a handful of punts because that's just like get through a block, find your wall, like get outside, and then you're in open space. And then it's just like make people miss, like
Yeah.
get angles, all that stuff.
So overall, I like the gameplay, but again, it's an
Mhm.
adjustment, and there's some people that don't like it, and that's understandable. You do kind of just have to get used to it. I think it works. I like what's
Mhm.
there. Let's move over to Dynasty. This is kind of our big spot. This is the Dynasty is why I play the game pretty much and always have. Gigantic change, like one of the biggest changes they've ever made to Dynasty this year, where they have added NIL or money, dynasty points, whatever you want to call it, where now you spend money on your roster, on recruits, on your coaching staff, and your facilities.
Yeah.
And this took a lot. I ran a couple years with different teams of dynasties to get used to what the right mix is. Because I might overspend on recruits early on, and then it creates a problem. So it's one you really have to work out to figure out what works. But ultimately, I like it. I do really like it. And I like that it's not like you can't just buy every player. There's a cap on how much you can pitch a recruit, and the pipelines and the recruiting hours still matter a lot. So I
Mhm.
think they found a sweet spot in there. I like to put my money toward retaining guys. And you can even up the spend on guys to keep them from going into the draft, which I like. So
Mhm.
I'm a fan of this. What do you think?
I've liked it. I like that it's just another lever that you can pull that moves in a lot of ways. It's hard to know like what the impact is on like facilities other than like
Yeah.
I started with Miami and they wanted to have better facilities at Miami like immediately. So to fill my AD expectations, I had to put a bunch of money toward facilities. I didn't really see that much of a difference like in my guys that much, so it's like I don't know. But in terms of recruiting and retaining, like you said, it's a tool to keep people out of the draft. It's a tool in recruiting that, like, okay, maybe I don't have the hours to get this guy, or maybe he's on a verbal commit to somebody else. Well, then I can throw like a Hail Mary if I really want a guy, and maybe you can flip him. Or if you're falling behind, like if you were falling behind on the old game, there's nothing you can do. Like if
You're
a
done.
school that had a better pipeline or a better recruiting coach just they started getting ahead of you, then it's like, well, you might as well punt on that guy. You can't get him. Now you have another lever to pull to get back in the game. That's recruiting in 2026. That's pretty realistic. Like,
Yep.
Like I think we talked about this on the show, but like the Tennessee with the Gabriel George, the Canadian kid that moved to Chattanooga. It's like Ohio State fans were salty because they're paying like $2 million for this kid, reportedly. But it's like, yeah, well, Tennessee is not as good of a program as Ohio State. You're going to have to pay even to keep this kid, but you got to keep your talent in state, whatever that takes. If that takes, there's not an option on the game to fly his family private to all the games or whatever, but like same concept. Like, yeah, you're probably going to have to overpay to get a guy, but it's like, I like that. I think it's very realistic to what the sport is right now.
Yes, and I've heard from some people that don't want to have to deal with it and therefore didn't want the game. You can have the computer handle the NIL part. I haven't done that. I don't know how good it is. We know auto recruiting last year had mixed results.
A little scarred by auto recruiting.
but once again, setting a maximum transfer limit is just vital for any dynasty. Like we usually set it at like 10. Like if you're doing
10.
the group of 6-team dynasty, like you gotta lower that, or otherwise it's impossible to keep up. Which again is how the game actually works. It's just not actually. It really works. It's just not fun. So lower that to keep your guys. Like when I first played, I got a 5-star quarterback to come to North Dakota State, just to see if I could do it, and I did. But then within a year or two, I just didn't have money for everything else I wanted to do. So it's figuring that out and figuring out what works, because not every team has the same amount of money. Like it very much varies. And so
that sounds a lot like college football, Chris.
Yes. Some issues. Still have the problem of guys who want to transfer for reasons that make no sense. I had my starting quarterback want to leave over playing time. I had a running back want to leave over playing style when he won the Doak Walker Award. Now I was able to, again, thankfully, up their NIL to keep them. So it worked out. But it didn't really make sense. And I guess, I don't know if the kids they can't only, like, they're asking for more money. That's part of it too. But the reason they list never quite makes sense.
And there is some weird glitches. We have a chat for our online Dynasty where people are kind of just messing around. But like, so Savion Hyder is a god on this game, basically.
Michigan running back.
But his like second or third year, he went into the portal, and I was like, oh, I know this kid's gonna be insane. So I went hard after him. I get him, he commits, but then my deal breaker comes up. So he ends up signing with like Florida or something. But then when I actually got to my season, he was on my roster. And I was very confused. He wasn't in my signing class, but he was in my roster. I was like, what happened? I was happy because he is incredible on this game. But like, I don't know, like that's a weird glitch where it's like I have the kid, I get him to commit, but then a deal breaker. I think the deal breaker was that I recruited another running back. And so then he was like, well, I'm out, which that sort of makes sense. But then when you decommit and you're showing up in somebody else's signing class, but then you're on my roster. I mean, who do you think you are? Cyrus Kwanjo? I don't think like that's going to be.
Yeah. I have noticed that more. I think that could still happen in the previous game. Like there were decommits.
Maybe.
But I've noticed it a lot more in this one where I've had every class I have, somebody is committed to me, and then by like week 8, they're changing. I all of a sudden have a playing style deal breaker. It's never been playing time. It's always been like playing style or one of those weird ones that I can't like really, I think, do anything about it. But sometimes that guy ends up not getting in. He doesn't end up signing with anybody else, and it's weird. So that has popped up a couple of times in the portal. This was a problem last time. Still is when you're in the portal and you want to go back and look at your roster to check your depth. The guys who transfer out are gone, but the guys who have graduated are not gone, and they're still there. And so you have to do the math of like, okay, these seniors are gone. Okay, my running back depth is not very good. It's a weird thing that has continued. It's just kind of annoying. Once you get into portal season, all the graduated guys should be gone, and the classes should update. There's that. Coach abilities cost more, and they're not as good, at least the early ones. And this has been a major point of frustration. This also ties into the microtransactions, which we'll talk about in a second. But like, you got to spend a lot to get some abilities that start to matter. And compared to the last game, I don't like that. Have you gone through that?
It's hard to know what's what and feel those things. Again, part of this was because I was a novice recruiter until last year when our online Dynasty like bullied me into taking recruiting seriously. So it's hard for me to compare like what it has been like to what it is because I was not into the recruiting side of it. And then like the player XP, like if you're a tactician, you know, when you see that boost, you know, it's hard to know like how to feel. Like, how much did my guys get better? But it does seem more negligible, more expensive and more negligible a little bit on the recruiter front.
And when you upgrade the play, if you manually upgrade the players in the offseason, certain skills cost way more points. Like if you're going to update somebody's speed, it costs like 20 points minimum for most guys, which is, again, a kind of annoying change, and I end up spending my points elsewhere. So that's like another weird change there. But that brings in the microtransactions. So none of us noticed really until the game kind of came out, or was at least we got the early copies. They added microtransactions into online dynasties for faster player coach progression, and also a similar thing in Road to Glory. And there was a big pushback from the fan community, the creator community, James Bordeaux, the CFB play don't pay hashtag
Akron OC,
the potential Akron offense coordinator, and EA Sports backed down, pulled it out, so now you can change that XP speed to faster without having to pay for it. And that was an interesting moment because when the game first came back 2 years ago, and I was writing a story about how gaming has changed, I talked to some people like Kofi on YouTube, who was like, I think a lot of people who haven't been playing games for a while don't realize how much microtransactions have just taken over the video game world. And it was great not to see it early on. And then next year, And now you got this little bit comes in this year. And that's why the community reacted the way they did. Like, we have to stop this now before it starts to continue to build and take over in a way it does in NBA 2K and all kinds of other stuff. EA Sports never really explained it or kind of defended or just kind of what was behind it, because I heard from some people that it wasn't quite the way people had portrayed it, but we never got that answer. And so we'll see if it comes back next year. We'll see if they try again or if this is a lesson, because
I still think that the core of this was they did so much rollout for people, and this was never mentioned. I think if they were more upfront about it, of like, I guess not to give them ideas, but like you could sell it in a way. I think that it was two things. It was one, it was the fact that they didn't mention this in any of the promotional stuff. You and I both attended one of the like virtual sort of whatever you call it, an upfront or whatever, explaining the game. They never mentioned it in there. And it wasn't anything that they had come up with. And it felt like there's that. And then there's that you're taking things away. Like you could tweak how fast the progression was. And they took away the faster and fastest, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
To get those, you had to pay for them. So you're taking something that was in the game previously, you're taking that away, and now you're charging people for it. That made people mad. And the fact that it felt like they were trying to sneak this in on people. I think that that's the biggest thing. And I don't like it. In theory, I'm okay with microtransactions existing, but when there's like no way to enjoy the game fully without them, that's where I start having problems.
Like,
and like,
if it's in
I
Ultimate,
haven't taken a Road to Glory guide. Like, without some of this stuff, your Road to Glory guy, I've seen people like maxes out at like an 85 overall or something like that. When that whole thing happened, I hadn't really been playing the game yet, other than a couple of times, because we had media days, we had our Vegas work thing. So that whole thing happened while I was not with my Xbox. So I can't, I don't know fully what the experience was, but it was an Ultimate Team, and everybody knows that. Like, that's what that game mode is for, and people understand that. If you're paying even if you add something new to the game, an extra archetype or something, and you have to pay for it, I don't mind that as much if it's a new thing. But it's I don't like it, but I'm not gonna like get mad about it.
It's putting something that was already
So
and
the cloak and dagger thing it felt especially dirty.
And that ultimately is what led to the we haven't talked about it yet, but the vibes around this game online were just really bad, and it got review bombed and all kinds of stuff, all because of this one specific thing. So obviously we wanted to talk about that and address it, but it's gone now. It doesn't impact the way we're playing the game now, which we are very much enjoying. But it will be interesting to watch. EA Sports just got bought / merged, gone private with a couple of private equity stuff that includes Saudi Arabia. So we'll see what happens with the next game. It's hard to know.
I am not optimistic about the future of the game when it comes to milking money out of its users.
We'll see. I've heard some people, something should be better, something should be worse. I don't know. We'll see. But now that it's gone, it doesn't impact my feeling on College Football 27, which is, I think, a really good game.
I think it's a little bit like, you mentioned like being out of video games. Like, I play a little bit, but when college football was dead, I played like PGA 2K and FIFA. That was kind of the only two that I really played. And like FIFA, there might have been microtransactions I haven't really seen. And then PGA, it's all just like gear, and it's like I'm not 12, so I don't really care. Like, if I get a free shirt that looks cool, I'll put my guy in a new shirt or something. Like, I don't, and like equipment and like different balls and stuff you can use was like fine, but I'm just not gonna pay for virtual golf club. That seems insane to me. But like my nephews and stuff that are like 12 and like 13, like they're like really into it. Like they get like Fortnite V-Bucks for like their birthday to get like skins they can play as like Spider-Man or whatever in Fortnite. That seems insane to me, but I don't know. The like Gen X would think that maybe it's insane to like pay $70 for a video game, period. So I don't know.
So that contributed to a lot of the bad vibes around the game itself. But elsewhere, was there anything else in Dynasty we're talking about? I think everything else is mostly the same.
No, I mean, we've kind of hit on the playbooks in general. That's kind of more gameplay.
Well, let's
like,
I
think
think
they've
custom
added a bunch of
playbooks.
new stuff you can do, all that stuff. There's just a ton of stuff that you can do, and some of it takes practice. You have to rep. Like some of these RPOs, you got to rep. It's not, in our mid-season review of this game in 26, I called it a ball nowhere's game. I think that's true for RPOs. You've got to train your brain to make the reads that you have to make. It's not cheese plays, and it's not like uncoverable plays. But if you're good at making the reads and RPOs, you can put defenses in no-win situations. You just have to be able to read it, which is hard, and you have to be able to make split-second decisions. It's difficult, and experience helps you. But, like, that's college football. Like, that's the game. I love that. And so all the plays, the stuff they've added to the game, like, they're doing great on that front.
I usually like to use the Oklahoma playbook as my base. They took out my favorite audible play. It's just not in the formation anymore. The shotgun spread, it's the double bubbles, RPO double bubbles. That's what I'd always, if guys weren't covered in the slot, I'd audible to those. It's just not in the playbook this year, and it's like a little thing that annoys me because that was always my go-to play for whatever reason. But I've become a custom playbook guy. We turned you into a recruiting guy. You turned me into a custom playbook guy. Definitely as CFP 26 happened, and I base everything off of that, which takes us into the other modes of the game, the other ways to play. Road to the CFP online. I don't do this as much because I'm a custom playbook guy, and whenever I have to pick up a new team with a new playbook, I'm just like, I don't feel comfortable, and then I'm losing, and it is what it is. I haven't done a ton of this. You have gotten reps in online
a little bit.
They've tweaked it. They've added some things, like you can start over your season if it's not going well. You can. There's other other than wins. There's like different things you can like play for, like 500-yard passes or whatever. Different. It's not things that I don't really care to accomplish, but they're there, and you can eventually unlock certain playbooks. In if you win enough. But
I haven't access to that. I've only played probably 30 online games. I haven't played it as much. Like, I wanted to learn how to do recruiting in NIL and Dynasty. So that was kind of my first focus, because I'm like, this is going to be very foreign. We're going to have our online Dynasty, which that's the game mode that I found most rewarding, because our league is full of a bunch of people who know what they're doing. We're all like kind of close enough on skill level, where every game is pretty competitive and kind of unpredictable. And it scratches that online itch, but with like a roster building piece of it that like I really enjoyed the challenge. The online Dynasty, I felt like that was the most rewarding thing. We're waiting on a patch and the rosters to kind of like start. We're still kind of in a holding pattern on that. But yeah, I mean, Road to CFP is okay. I found it a little bit harder, I think, in part because like I've started practicing a ton with my custom playbook, and like I didn't really find a team that I loved. Like, I like USC's personnel, but their playbook I hated, which I was surprised because I thought Lincoln Riley had like his playbook a little bit more. So I kind of been playing a lot with A&M online just because I need to be able to have some power run stuff. And like, it's okay. Marcel Reed's kind of frustrating on that game. Not a great passer. For those of you who've watched Marcel Reed, I know you're sitting there nodding, but like it is what it is. Like the no playbooks online, obviously I've disagreed with this for 3 years now. I get why they do it. I don't think that's the right call, but whatever. But it takes it away from me. It makes me play it less. If I could take my playbook and go online, I'd be playing Road to CFP all the time. And I just can't. And like you said, it's frustrating. So
me too. And our buddy Charles McDonald is just constantly having Road to the CFP desyncs, and he like basically can't play it anymore. Like weird. Like, we've had no problems jumping.
I haven't experienced that, so I don't know.
But he, so whatever. Just wanted to note that he has actually had some problems with that. Mascot mode. I love playing this mode as like a party trick. Like when my brother came into town, we're just hitting 85-yard field goals against each other, and it was really fun. So like, I like it. I like that it's back. It looks really funny. It always does. I like that everybody's souped up. It's fun to play. I hate that you have to unlock most of the mascots. You have to beat them and playing out to do it. And I just don't, considering this mode is not a serious game mode.
No,
I understand the initial idea of like, oh, you got to win as Michigan State if you want to get Sparty. So people have to experience Michigan State. But like, people don't really want to go through that. Like, just let them play as Sparty.
I just don't care about it enough. I'll show it to my kids and like, but nobody, like, I'm glad that it exists. It is fun to have, but like, I'm not going to invest time and energy, and I'm just going to kind of like mess around with it a little bit.
That's what it is. Like, it's not a serious mode that I want to have to put time into. It's something I just want to pull up and have some fun. And if I've only got, Georgia's mascot and Texas's mascot, it limits kind of what you can do. I did notice a handful of mascots are unlocked for you, and you can like select, you can like drag down to see which ones you have unlocked. So like, I think it's everybody.
Like only the playoff teams. I couldn't figure out the. I think it was.
Maybe
that's mostly the playoff team.
That would
because like
sense.
Texas Tech was in there, and I was like, well, that's kind of a random one. So.
Yeah, but I do like it. Like, it's fun. Like, it's fun booting punts and kicks and all that kind of stuff. But don't like having to unlock it. Road to Glory. This is always a mode I think I'm going to play more than I end up doing. But it's deeper. They've added more positions: edge rusher, tight end, free safety. All the other parts are deeper. You can take quizzes. Which, did you ever do Road to Glory in a quiz? Because I know you thought it'd be easy to.
Not yet. I always.
It's not. It's hard.
Glory. Yeah, I always start with Road to Glory, and I just did it this year because I wanted to learn how to play Dynasty. But my whole thing with playing this game is largely play calling. That's my favorite part of the game is the strategy of play calling. And so the limitations until like year 3 as a quarterback just slowly drive me insane. Like where you're running like the same 6 plays and it's like 3rd and 12 and they've got all curls and you can't hot route anything and everybody's running 6-yard routes. I'm like, I'm going to lose my mind. I can't do this.
I do think it is a little bit more customizable in high school mode. There's, I think, more games. There are more goals to choose from. So I have liked that. And I don't know if you can do this on 26, but you can really customize your equipment a lot. I went with the single bar face mask while also like showing my abs with a pulled up jersey.
Forrest Gump style. I like it.
Yeah, it was actually.
I want to do it as a running back. I feel like I would enjoy it. I always go quarterback, but the play calling is annoying, and usually your offensive line is not good, and it's frustrating.
You can like in high school mode, like you can pick your plays. So like there is some of that. But it's fun. The quiz part, you do the quiz, but there's a timer. And so it's like 10 to 15 seconds, I think. So you don't really have time to necessarily Google the answer because it's like, how many wins does Texas have against Oklahoma since like 2000 or something like that? And it's like, you don't have time. You actually have, so you can't actually cheat on it. It is kind of fun. If you know what you're talking about there. So Road to Glory, it's okay. Not my thing, but I always want to play it more than I do. Ultimate Team, I don't know. I don't play this mode. I've tried a couple of times. I don't know.
I did it once in 25, and I was like, this is what I thought it was going to be. I hate this. This sucks.
Like, I love like the idea that these legendary players are available, like, and you can play with them is fun, but it's like, oh, I'm Michigan State, and I got, Tim Tebow or whatever, and it's like I want to do Tim Tebow Florida, but that's not what
classic teams. I'd like to just have classic teams available for like play now.
Well,
I feel like that'd be fun.
They used to have that, obviously, but
I know,
just like the NIL thing, it's like it's not like that's one of the cool things about the NBA games is the legendary teams. But you have a players association, retired players association. You don't have that in college, and the rosters are so big, and it makes it tougher. I do really would like to bring that back. Same with I mentioned the Pontiac College Classics, like just playing a couple of drives in a big moment for a team from a way back past. So we'll see, but there's that. Create a team builder. First time I've been able to really like dive into it, and I actually think this is really fun. 25, the website, I could never get it to work. 26 was like really slow. 27, it's been working fine for me. You still can't do it on Google Chrome to go to the website. But I created a bunch formation team. If people want to go download it, it's available. The team's called Bunch Formation. My username is Stone Cold CV if you need that to try to find it. But we're a Salt of the Earth program. We play in a horseshoe stadium. You can see campus out the other side. I've started a dynasty with them a little bit, and the roster is like just good enough. There's not very many seniors, so I don't need to recruit too much. But I could see this being a lot of fun if I had time to really pour everything into it. So team builder, definitely better this year. I know you can do things in there like upgrading the facilities and stuff. But yeah, big fan of team builder. Go download the bunch formation team, and listeners, let me know what you think. Lastly, before we get to Ben, final thoughts. I really like this game, and I've liked it more as I've played it. And like 25, we were too busy to play during the season, and I didn't play much afterward. But when they added crossover Dynasty last year, and you and I and everybody we could play in our Dynasty, we played that game nonstop, like February through April. We did. And the more I played it, the better I got at it, the more I understood. So I come into 27 knowing a lot more. And again, after a month of figuring out NIL, after a month of figuring out the different gameplay controls, the more I play it, the more I want to play it. I'm really liking it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm excited for this year. I mean, during football season, it's always tough. We're busy. It's the busiest time of our year. But I like that they're leaning into the ball knowers game. When I hear Scott O'Gallagher, which OG, great nickname, by the way. When I hear him talk about building the game and the way he's thinking about things, like should be a football game first. Like the idea of like football solutions to football problems is great. I think the game has gotten more and more into that, and I love that. I think it makes it better to play online. I want a ball knowers game, and that's what we're getting. I've seen, like, I think generally the internet is not fired up about this game. I see a lot of like negative tweets. I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock in that personally.
I think most of that, again, a lot of that is the vibes of the microtransactions / the sale involved.
I'm just not plugged into like the community at large of the video game or whatever. It's like it's pretty much my experience and like our Dynasty that we play, that we have like a separate like group chat for. Like I don't read a lot. I'll kind of peek at the Reddit from time to time, usually just because there's like funny clips on there that I like people sending, or if like there's a problem, like one of the patches, they accidentally made it so you couldn't offer any scholarships in Dynasty, that's an issue. I think they fixed that pretty quickly, but yeah, like that kind of stuff I'd like to know about. But I just don't participate in the thing. So it's my own experience. I have enjoyed the game. I'm excited to get started with our Dynasty. We're still waiting on the patch and the roster update to fully go in, but like I feel ready. I'm excited for it, and yeah, I like this game. I don't know, like I think, again, maybe I'm a mark. Maybe I'm just naive, but like when the alternative is no college football game, and the college football game that we have, while not perfect, certainly flawed, I enjoy playing. It's hard for me to get too bent out of shape about it. Like, yes, there's things I'd like to change, but at the end of the day, like I don't play it a ton. I have a very small window of time in the day when I can play, but I almost always, when I'm playing it, I finish it and I was like, that was fun. I have other stuff I need to do now, but like that's a good thing for me. And if I don't have fun playing a game, I'm not going to play the game. I have fun playing this game. It's not that much more complicated than that for me.
And the alternative doesn't have to be no game or there's a game. It could just be, hey, I have 26. Is it worth upgrading to 27? That's usually the approach I take with these things. Because when we were playing 26 deep right up until the release of 27, and I was kind of sad to see 26 go away because I had played it all spring and had really figured it all out. So if you loved 26 and you don't want to deal with NIL, then maybe you don't upgrade. But I do think they added enough here, specifically with Dynasty, which is what we like to do, that it is a new game. Like Dynasty is different, and I like it. And the more I've played it, the more I have enjoyed it. And I think I graded the game. I graded the game an A- overall, up from a B+ a year ago, and up from a B- 2 years ago. So it again, it takes time. And there are some old issues that haven't been fixed. but without the microtransactions, it still feels like the game of the last 2 years, which we've really liked and I really like. And once we get that roster patch in and we start our dynasty, I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to be playing it even more and we're going to be having fun. So I like it. And let us know in the comments or bunchformationpod@gmail.com what you think of the game. We'll probably do another like review like in like January or February, like post
after the
football
season probably. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once we're even deeper into it. But let us know. And with that, we're going to send it over to the interview with Ben Haumiller from EA Sports to talk more about the game. And we're happy to welcome back to the show EA Sports College Football 27 lead producer Ben Haumiller, who was actually the first guest on this podcast a year ago, shortly after we had launched. Ben, welcome back to the bunch.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always great to be on. Yeah, I was the first guest, and always happy to be back when I can be.
We have a much better setup and everything now, so we appreciate it. Real quick, for people who don't know you, you've worked on this game since way back in the day. Real quick, how long have you been with EA and working on college football?
Yeah, so this let's see, I hit 26 years this year. So over half my life I've been here at EA. I've been on every NCAA version since 05. I was on Madden for a little while as well, but you probably heard, people are tired of hearing me say it, but the old quote, when mama called, you come running. And so I had the opportunity to come back to college football, and we started to build this thing back up again, and wanted to make sure that we were building it the right way, the way that we always used to build it back in the day, and just make sure that we were kind of building that same foundation there. So so it's been a great journey to come back and help lead this thing back to where we are now.
Yeah, so College Football 27, it's been out for about a month now. We took some time to get used to the new game before we kind of came out with our review here. But for you guys, the dev team, like, what is life like for you right now? There have been some patches that have come out. There's another one this week. Are you guys like looking back through feedback on what to patch, or there was the punting thing I got fixed a little bit a week ago? Like, what are you guys doing like right now, a month after the game came out?
Yeah, it's really funny that, we try to cram about 15 months worth of development in 12 months. So we have already started to look ahead towards next year, and we're kind of already working on plans for what the next version of the game is going to be. But also, too, this game just came out, so we can't just abandon it and just leave it behind. So we're kind of split between the two right now, where we're doing some post-launch, work and post-development work there. Specifically, like think about uniforms, for example. There are so many uniforms coming out still, stuff that thankfully we get to see beforehand that we know you guys haven't even heard about yet. That are going to come out in the next month or two down the line. So we've got uniform updates coming out through the entire season. All the way to Army Navy. We know they always come up with something great for that game. We'll have that in an update right before that. Right around when that game comes out or it gets played. Excuse me. We're doing constant work on that. Roster updates. Again, we started last year about halfway through the season doing weekly roster updates. That's going to be from week 0 on to the end this year. So you're going to get a lot of those things coming in. We also have more players coming in. We have another update that's going to come out right before the start of the season, where a lot of those freshmen you might be missing. I know Tennessee fans, you're going to want to hear that. They'll be in the game coming in. Those freshmen will be coming into that 3.5 update, we're calling it. That'll be right around the kickoff of the season. And so that will get you a lot of additional players that haven't been in there yet, some ratings updates as well and things like that. And so, you're looking across the board to things like balancing the new Dynasty blueprint and making sure that things are working there from the NIL perspective and all those other elements. Gameplay, there's always things that we find that we didn't quite get right, or maybe someone found an exploit that we didn't know was there, and so making those updates. So it's kind of splitting time right now between the two, but never a dull moment.
I do appreciate that. It seems like a lot of the game is eliminating those exploits, but when it comes to patches, like how do you weigh like what's worth fixing and what isn't? Like Chris is soft, so he's complaining about drops, and he gave up on timing-based catching. I stuck it out. I got some reps in. I think I've mastered it. We're about to start our media dynasty. I think I'm going to commit to it. I've been greening people all over the place. But some of those things are just like adjustments. So like when you're going to patch something, like you just go in and tweak a slider. How does that work exactly?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into just reading the data, reading what people are saying. Reddit is phenomenal for this, just to help give us an idea of what people are seeing out there and what they're experiencing. Because the day the game launches, we've got more eyes on it, more hours of time on it than we've had the entire development time, just given the sheer volume of people playing it. And you're seeing a lot of really interesting things too now with the advent of AI, especially in the Dynasty space. There's people who are taking information they're learning from their dynasty, feeding it into AI, and just getting all sorts of deep, detailed dives back of things that are telling them how to maximize when you're going through the recruiting element. Some are great. Some are kind of working off data that probably might not be accurate. But there's really interesting seeing how they are going through it and diving into that. But your main question there was how do we decide what to go after? And really, it's kind of what is it going to take to redo. To break something down to the studs and rebuild it? Well, that might have to wait to the next year. Is it something that's a simple fix? Okay, yeah, we can go ahead and make some tweaks, make some adjustments. We have our own time with it to make sure that it's working right in the way we like it, and then we put it out there in an update. But the fun thing with game development is you might fix something over here and break something over there that you didn't even know, that you weren't even touching. And so, sometimes that makes us look like, oh, do we even know what we're doing? Because we introduce a problem when we're trying to take away another one. But that's just the fun of game development. There's such a big game and so complex that, unfortunately, yes, there will be times where something does come in that we didn't intend, and then we'll get that fixed either hopefully with an emergency update that can get it out right away, or it might take a minute to get that updated. But that goes back. I mean, when I first started, you lived with what was on the disk. So if you shipped with an error like that, you had to eat it for an entire year. So it's so nice to now be able to come in and be able to make those updates and make those changes and kind of have it really be a living game.
I'm already gonna miss Louisiana Monroe's punter bombing 80-yard punts and enough pancakes to open up an IHOP every time he ran the ball. But the gameplay part, like passing the ball, has been a lot tougher this year. I like that. Like if you're running full speed with a quarterback on the edge, getting away from a passer, and you try to throw it, it is a disaster, which looks a lot like college football to me. But like year to year, what is the process of changing things, and kind of what were their issues with gameplay in CFB 26? Other than obviously the custom adjustments on defense, which were a huge part. But what were the gameplay things from 26 that you guys really wanted to zero in on and fix?
Yeah, you always take a look at where you're at and compare it to what the real world is and see where your deficiencies are, where you're not matching up to the real world. What are the trends that are happening, and how can you build in with those? So if you think about something like, a couple years ago at Penn State, and Andy Koltnicki's offense, we were watching all the pre-shift motion. We didn't have anything to replicate that at all. And so we built that in custom, to certain plays in the playbooks for last year. But for this year now, we give you that ability to now say, I want to come out and run this play, but I want to start at any other formation and have them do that shift. And so just things like that we've never really done before, that you look at and you're like, well, that makes it more realistic and gives you more of that chess match. I think that's what we don't want you to play Madden or play college football. We want to play football. And I think when we're at our worst, it's when it's a video game solve. But, Scott O'Gallagher, our head of gameplay, he has a phrase that I absolutely love: football solutions for football problems. And I think that is something that really helps us to understand how we should fix things and how we should go about not just Band-Aid fixes, but like, how do we actually make this feature function so that if you understand and no ball, it looks right, it functions right. It's not just a video game, but it actually is kind of a simulation. Some might say we've gone too far with that simulation because now you have to do all sorts of pre-snap checks and things like that. But that's where I think on defense, those custom adjustments can come in to really help you, because we always hear, especially from our players who are not as great, that they don't like playing defense because all they feel like they're doing is just giving up a touchdown if they ever take control of somebody, and they don't know exactly what the hook, and all the different things, right? What does a hook zone mean and things like that? How do I do these different defenses based on what the offense is doing? And so those custom adjustments, you can go in and make your own setup, but they also do have some preset ones there that can really kind of help you out to get you into, okay, well, I'm not sure exactly what to do, but this is going to give me a ballpark in the right area, so I'm not just completely blind. So I think those are the things you look at of how can we make the game more deep, how can we make it more authentic, but also too, how to make it fun still. Like it's still a video game. You still want to have fun, and fun is a relative term. So you kind of think about all your different audiences. You have a very hardcore sim audience that wants everything to be absolutely dialed in, but you also have an 8-year-old who wants to just have fun and throw. So, got to have it kind of a mixture for everybody in there.
I like that, because like our colleague, I was playing SamCon. We're still kind of playing some exhibition games now. We haven't really gotten to the meat of our dynasty, but he was, based on his personnel, he was baiting me into some defensive calls. Then he's shifting, and I'm like scrambling to get a check in because I'm like, I'm in the wrong call. It's like, that's football. I like that a lot. So, yeah. Yeah,
if you're getting beat by fundamentals and things, that makes sense. That doesn't make it feel bad. If somebody's just able to run the same thing over and over again, no matter what you do, you can't stop it, then that just feels like you're kind of being cheated. And that we're trying to get rid of any of those sort of things. There's so much there, and and fans get very unique with what they can do. But yeah, that's to that point. We're trying to replicate that college football game, and with that too, college football has mistakes. That's what we love about the sport. It's not perfect. And so you kind of like, and maybe in a way we get some credit that Madden doesn't. When we have a mistake, it feels authentic because it's college, and when it feels like it happens in Madden, it's a problem. But hey, we'll take that.
I had a 4th down drop against Sam, and part of me is like, the game shouldn't do that. Part of me is like, that does happen. I don't know. Like it is kind of a push and pull where it's like, wish the guy could have made that. But the microtransaction controversy that blew up, you're not running the business. You're a dev guy, but this isn't your decision. But what did you just kind of make of all that kind of as it was going on?
Yeah, you're right. I'm not the right guy to answer that, and there's nothing I can say or would say that wasn't covered in the blog for it. So I'm happy that we've moved past that portion of it. That's a portion I never want to have to relive again. But that was kind of covered by that blog, and that's about where we're willing to go on that.
Okay, that did ultimately cover up a lot of what I think is a really good game. Like that's what I wrote. Like I wrote about the microtransaction controversy and everything that came with that, but it did overshadow that. I think this is an improvement of a game. I think David feels the same way as well. Is there a change you guys have gotten the most positive feedback about?
Yeah, and thank you for that too, because I think we felt that same way. That, man, we have a really great game on our hands here, and so I'm happy that that's becoming the focus more of what we're talking about. And with that too, I think it was something for us about that Dynasty blueprint. And adding NIL into the game, that was something, we've talked about that for a number of years now, right? When we first came back, it felt too early. Everything was changing so fast and so rapidly that whatever we put in would be out of date the second we put it out. And now things have, it still feels like it's changing and we don't know where it will end up being, but it's stabilized to the point where people understand how it functions. And so we could add it in a way that we felt was, thoughtful, that it's not just adding in a free agency to the game, but we wanted to have it fit in a collegiate way where you have to kind of balance your entire budget through all of your athletic department for your football team. We don't have other sports to deal with, so we don't have to worry about carving out some of that $22.5 million over for basketball or other sports. We have to just think about it in a football only lens. But so things like facilities or your support staff or your assistants, all that kind of feeds into the same thing. And what I love about our game is, sure, there are people who take Ohio State and win a national championship with them. That's great. Have a great time with that. But the people like me that love playing with like Akron, for example, that I have no affiliation to the school, but it's just fun to take a small school and build them up. In our old recruiting systems, you always found ways that you could get around that and be able to, no matter how hard we tried to make it, you could still find your way. Now, I think, Chris, you were talking about, you signed a 5-star kid and put all your money towards him. And guess what? You had no money from anybody else. And that kid probably left after the first year because he wanted greener pastures. Yeah. So that's real college football. That's the unfortunate reality we all have to live with right now. Is that that's
that is the tough part. But I do say, and I wrote this too. But like as always, if you're going to be an Akron or whoever, you're going to want those transfer sliders down, just simply on a numbers perspective.
And I think that too with those sliders, I think that's something you're seeing us do more and more is just expose that stuff for the user to be able to change the game how they want to see it, how they want to do it. And, we've got those custom adjustments we talked about, but also too, you've got your gameplay adjustments that used to just be in the front and in game that you could say, oh, I want a chew clock, or I want, conservative running the ball, or I want, my defenders to play specific ways. You can now set that in the front end to be applied to every game you go into. So things like that we're giving you those tools to kind of customize things the way you want to. And I think that's just going to go more and more.
Well, the NIL piece, I have liked it. I like that it can be a trump card, but in practice, it's more of a lever that you have to pull outside of hours and, school grades and all of those things. But what made you guys feel like you wanted to factor in with that, the facilities and staff? Because it's like for a long time, like for the history of the game, for a lot of it, and then 25 and 26, there's only budgeting time. And now we're juggling all these things. What made you guys want to put all of that in at once?
And how much of that was simply like you're allowed to now? Like you couldn't actually pay the players in real life.
We're still kind of pretending it's not pay for play, but they really were in 24.
we get a little bit of leeway of how we how we get to explain these things. We don't have to try and send certain deals over to get reviewed. Like we kind of have a little bit of more of an abstract view. And I think that's what we wanted to have overall. We were all as a development team dead set that we didn't want to just have it be money and just money wins, because at the end of the day, sure, it can. But we also see in college football, there's a lot of different avenues to that. Like, we always talk about, at some schools, you have to pay a premium for the same player that another school might get a discount for, and things like that. And so we wanted to kind of make it more abstract into this NIL and program point, pool, and have it be the entire budget, because that's the reality that these schools are going through. That your Ohio States of the world, your Texas of the world, they're an embarrassment of riches. They can do whatever they want to do, but a smaller school has to make some real decisions of, am I going to try and win now? Am I playing for the long term? And it really kind of changes the way you play the game, because that's one thing you'll hear us say over and over again is we like to build an unsolvable puzzle. My favorite thing about the game is I can jump into Reddit or somewhere else and see 10 different definitive guides to how to do this. And they're all different and they're all right. It's all dependent on who you're playing, who you're going against, and the actual, the difference of an individual simulation. No simulation is going to be the same every single time. And so it's just really fun to see, everyone kind of work themselves in the knots trying to figure out the actual way to min-max to get the most, elusive recruits they can get, when at the end of the day, it's kind of a, dice roll on the back end to a degree, and you're trying to, limit that as much as possible. But it's just fun to see how everyone goes about it, different ways of doing it.
North Dakota State and Sacramento State moved up to FBS kind of late in your process. Did you guys have to scramble to get them in?
Whew, man, I have never seen any team come in this late. But also, too, this is how much I love the passion of this team, is we had to hold people back from just sprinting immediately to adding, hey, I added them to the database. I've done this. Like, whoa, we haven't even talked to them yet. We don't even know if we can get them in. So that was when we first heard about this, we had already started what we call our alpha phase of development. So all of the new features were already in. We're testing, tuning, adding data, things like that. But for all intents and purposes, the game was done from a feature standpoint. And here all of a sudden we get an announcement. 2 new schools are coming in. And so we looked around, and, fortunately, we've had to do this both years we've come in, adding schools in, Delaware and Missouri State most recently. And so, we kind of know what to do and the levers to pull. So we looked around and said, okay, we're in a good spot. Let's do it. But in full transparency to the schools, and they've been tremendous to work with, because they both expected that it would be next year before they'd come in anyway. We're like, there's a couple things we're not going to get to. Stadium, number one. Unfortunately, the stadiums are just not going to happen. It's too expensive and too large of a process for us to go and build those to have it done in time. So we have a generic dome for the Fargo Dome. We'll look to have the real one next year. Generic stadium for Sacramento State. We'll look to have the real Hornet Stadium next year. Mascot was another one. The mascots we did not have ready in time. So we're building them and hope to have them in later, but they will not make it this year. But from that point forward, it was uniforms. We can turn around uniforms very quickly. Hiring, signing up all the players and the coaches, we can sign those guys very quickly. We've been doing that for a while now. So when it comes to that, licensing the fight songs and all those pieces, like, we kind of just know all the different levers to pull. And so it was a matter of, do we have the time to do it? And do we feel comfortable? We do. All right, let's add them. And so that was very exciting to see, because, again, like any other team probably would be like, yeah, you know what? Sorry, too late. But this team was like, we had to hold them back from trying to do too much and put other things in jeopardy potentially to try and get these in. So very happy with all that landed for sure.
Do you take a peek at the reaction on some of that stuff? Because, I don't have a super deep emotional tie to any football team now. I've been covering this sport for 20-something years. And you kind of, once you see how the sausage is made, it's all kind of the same. But, when you see, North Dakota State fans, the huge fan base, very well established. We see them, we hear from them even when they're at the FCS level. But I imagine for them, seeing their team in a video game for a certain subsect of NDSU fans is probably a religious experience. Have you gauged any of the bison reaction?
and also probably people mad about not having the actual Fargo Dome. It's probably both. You probably see.
I mean, sure, but patience.
I'm not saying this. I'm just saying you're probably, because how they are.
And you know what? If they were just hey guys, that's fine, you'll get it next time, then we'll be out of a job soon enough, because it's that passion that these fans have for everything to be perfect and right, and no excuses, that helps drive us to keep us motivated to keep doing things. Because, to that point, North Dakota State fans or Sacramento State fans, heard from a ton of them saying, this is so great, we're in. We had to be a team builder team last year. Now we're a real team that's in there. It's that kind of legitimacy for them of joining, the FBS. And it's another step for them to say, yeah, we are here. So that was a lot of fun for us to see that and see that reaction from them. And also, to your point of hey, okay, where's the Fargo Dome? But then they also, after they ranted about not having it, they also understood that, man, it was February before they got moved up. So okay, I understand that. But that's been the fun part. And so now we're kind of looking around saying, okay, who's next? I think that's the other part, is we don't really always get a preview of some of these things. So that was one that we found out in real time, just like everybody else. And so, curious what the next move is, because I'm not sure if we're done. So we'll see what happens.
You guys moved
So-
to PC this year for the first time, and we're seeing mods go off. Like the mods kind of scare me. It's a little bit like there's a bunch of Mr. Andersons from the Matrix walking around. And I'm like, I don't know what you're capable of or not capable of. But when you're a game dev and you see like people customizing all kinds of stuff that, like, quite frankly, terrifies me. Like, what do you think when you see that?
It's awesome because my mind goes in two places. Because number one, it's like, oh man, like these guys have figured out how to do some pretty amazing things. Like, I want to talk to them. And we might have a role for somebody that can do something like that. If they can break the game in a way that really adds a lot of really interesting parts, like we're interested. You think about the college football revamp game that was, kind of during our hiatus. We have a couple of our key, guys on the team that were there doing that. And they learned things like how to build plays, just reverse engineering stuff, like really, really smart people. So I absolutely love seeing that stuff. And I love seeing what they're doing and what they're adding to the game. It's fun to watch some of these things. But then the other side of it too is, it can cause some headaches sometimes. A school might reach out to me and say, hey, why did I see this uniform in the game? That's not there. That's not real. And like, well, someone just made that. Oh, well, can you take it down? Well, no, they're not charging for anything. So like, we're not going to be in the business of just like harassing people to take down mods. So, it's kind of put a little confusion that way. But the other part too is, we're beholden to certain standards for how we put elements into the game. Right. And so somebody can just go make something real quick in 2 seconds and, hey, EA is lazy. Why don't they have the full CBS theme and full CBS broadcast package? Well, we don't have the rights to do that. There's a whole thing that goes into that we don't get to do, but we get to watch the audience go and just make these wild mods. But yeah, it's been fascinating to see some of the stuff they've done. We have some really, really smart fans out there that do some really fun stuff.
Last one, we talked about mascot mode pretty much for the last couple of years, and it finally came back in this game. You've worked on this game for a very long time, as we talked about at the beginning. Are there other old features you'd still like to get back in at some point? There's the Pontiac College Classics. There's the create a sign, player discipline. I think you could promise guys jersey numbers or something back in the day.
I still want my fake tweets in the game. I got to tell you, I still want my fake tweets in the game.
Are there any other stuff from the old NCAAs that you'd still love to get back into the game at some point?
It's so funny you say that because I often joke that they keep me around just to be the old man who can remind you of what we did 20 years ago, because what's old is new again. You look at some of these features that are coming back, not just with our game, but just across gaming in general. And it harkens back to an earlier time in some days. And so you think about something right now, if you go into that Dynasty menu and you see those characters that are now populating in there kind of with your news piece, that's kind of borrowing old tech we used to have way back when we did the Sports Illustrated covers back in like 02, 03, So like some of those things can come back again in a new way. And so, yeah, we're always looking, you kind of have most of your, vision is forward, what's new, right? And then we're looking at the potential changes that Congress, if that ever happens, what that's going to mean to us as far as feature goes, or getting rid of red shirts now. We have to do that and have the whole plan of now calling them fifth-year players instead of, super seniors or whatever it's going to be. So we're keeping an eye on all of that stuff to know what we need to build going forward. But then too, yeah, you look back on some of those old features and say, what haven't we brought back yet that really needs to be there? What's missing? I always talk about something like Greatest Games. I would love to see Greatest Games come back. That was one of my old favorites. It would just track the 10 best games you ever played, and so you can always go back and look and see. It might have been a loss as your number one greatest game of all time, but it was an amazing game you played. And unfortunately, too much of our game right now, the moment you exit out, just gets lost and you forget about it. That's why something like we added a lot in Dynasty last year, the history book, to go back and be able to see some of those things, because you would simulate past a year, you'd advance to the next year, and who won the Heisman 2 years ago? I don't remember, but now it's all there. So I think those are the things that we need to do to really kind of help that world building. And so you want to see more of that come along. But